Entrepreneurship, it's all game. The Big Potato Podcast is yours to claim. From startups to scaling up, we cover it all. So don't mess up. Monday nights, don't miss the show with Kendall and Stuart. Your time to grow, listen up. Take notes and learn. The Big Potato Podcast. Next gen.
Welcome to the Big Potato Podcast. Yep. Episode 8. Episode number 8. So you know it's going to be great. Welcome to all our listeners, our community. Welcome to all our supporters who share, who listen every single episode. Share the information, you give us feedback, you let us know that you love the Big Potato Podcast. You know how we do it here. My co-host Stuart is here with me. Surely Kendall, I'm here as well. We are the Big Potato Podcast. Of course, we empower entrepreneurs for today's business landscape. It's light-hearted discussion with all the experts, delivering strategic business insights into industries such as entertainment, tech, media, sport. We had it all so far, right?
Not all. We have another one coming up tonight. A pretty exciting one as well. I would say a vital one.
A vital one.
Vital.
Yeah, one that will be sure to fill us by the end of this conversation. But before we jump into tonight, Stuart, any feedback on the last episode about the whole sport marketing and branding?
Well, good night, everyone. I don't know why, but I just have a lot of energy today. I don't know if it's because, as I said, we were speaking sports last week, but today was our sports day.
Yeah.
So it kind of related. So my energy up. Always good to see Barcelona take licks. But anyhow, let me not get too sidetracked. Episode 7 was excellent. The feedback, as usual, is good. People got a lot of information from Chester that they valued. How to value yourself as a brand, how to build your brand, how to transfer from a brand into the business. It was very insightful. So I guess I'll let you say what we're discussing tonight.
Yeah, tonight. Boy, I tell you, can't wait to talk to our guest tonight. But before we jump in and introduce our guest, remember to subscribe and follow the Big Potato Podcast on Spotify and YouTube, and also all social media platforms. Matter of fact, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can check out the Big Potato Podcast. Don't miss any of our episodes and other content that we feature. All right. So tonight, as I said, it's going to be an enriching discussion, a fulfilling discussion, a discussion for growth, literally.
Food for thought.
Food for thought. Master of the definitions, boy, still team, boy. That is the man himself. Our guest tonight is the founder and director of Modeste Home Growers Company Limited. He's the co-founder and sales and marketing manager of Fruits, Elixirs, Treats and Entertainment, called FET. Co-founder and director of Relimers Events. A young entrepreneur passionate about agripreneurship. A Youth Business International member who has been featured a number of times on different platforms. Boy, oh boy, we have a very special guest tonight. A young entrepreneur, a young agripreneur. Without further ado, let me welcome Mr. Kerron Modeste to the Big Potato Podcast. Kerron, what up?
Good night. Thanks for having me. A pleasure, especially after so many great episodes, great speakers. Those who have been pioneers in their fields is a great feeling to be here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to the Big Potato Podcast, and thanks for making the time for us. I know you're celebrating a birthday soon, and you're in celebratory mood right now.
Yeah.
So you're celebrating with us to kick it off. Now, Kerron, as I mentioned, is fully into agriculture and entrepreneurship. And we're going to delve into that tonight, folks. So for all you farmers out there, maybe you're into other aspects of the agricultural industry, or perhaps even supplies. We'll talk a lot about that tonight. But first off, you guys know how we do it. Start off with what caught our eye. So this is what caught my eye this week. Article from the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, written on the 24th of February 2024, entitled Hussein warns staff about disrespecting farmers. Now, this is what's going on. Minister of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, Kash Hussein, has called for more respect to be shown to the nation's farmers. Like my boy Kerron online tonight. A plethora of agricultural incentives are readily available for those interested in farming, yet many remain unaware of these opportunities, is what the minister said. He was actually speaking at a ceremony where he distributed $5 million in grants to fishermen and farmers for the expansion of food production. Now, just in case you didn't know, the government of Trinidad and Tobago intends to reduce the food import bill by 25% by 2025. No, we have Kerron online, so I know he's involved in these things, so I want to know what's his thoughts on that when we get to that, right? But, and I quote here, Minister Hussein said, farmers are people too. They are responsible for feeding this nation. They deserve support, not because they come into your office steward, their garden boots. You should treat them with disrespect. No, we have to assist them in every way possible. Now, there are some programs, the Agricultural Incentive Program, AIP. Minister Hussein revealed that his ministry has offered cash rebates, exemptions, etc., in 92 categories to support the development of agricultural practices. Encourage farmers to get their farmers badges so that they can qualify for some of these incentives. I mean, some of these range from vehicular purchases, pest management systems, irrigation systems, advancements in livestock, tree crops, agro-processing, you name it. There's also the Youth Homestead Program, which we know is targeting the youths from 18 to 35. They're getting 2 acres of land, grant of $20,000, utilities on the land, and of course agricultural certification through training. It's a 2-year program, I believe. And there are also other agricultural and aquacultural projects that the ministry intends to introduce. Now, why this caught my eye? I see a lot of young people. My neighbor actually started rearing some livestock recently. I don't want to say how I feel about that because it's behind my house. But I do commend all young people getting into farming and agriculture. And you all know what my favorite word is by now.
Opportunity.
Opportunity. And where I see young people trying to get their hands dirty in the right way, I'm very happy about that. Now, some people may say, I don't know a thing about farming. I don't know a thing about agriculture. I don't even know where to start. Or maybe I don't want to get my hands dirty. I don't want to run a farm. Is it possible that you can become a supplier of farming equipment, agricultural equipment, or even supplies? Is it possible that you could enter the ecosystem in some other format? Is it possible that you could do packaging, processing, or something that can enter the industry and benefit as an entrepreneur? Stuart, I talk enough. What's your thoughts?
Well, I don't know, honestly, I don't know where to start. So I'll just start from my experience. I have lived many lives in this short life of mine. In a previous life, I used to open accounts in an investment company. We could just put it that way. And when the farmers come in, you'll see all the other people, all my co-workers hiding. You know, but I take in whoever next. So I used to be seeing it from my own self, the disrespect they face. But yet, because, I observe in everything, these people, the other customers will come into the into the company. I just use these vague terms.
The institution.
Into the institution. And they will want to pretend it's so high and mighty because they want to take out 50,000 to buy a sedan or something. They're so high and mighty and walking out so proud. And then the same farmer will come into my office next. And they're talking about $400,000-$500,000 because they want to buy a piece of equipment. And this is money that's in their account. So the disrespect is real. I've seen disrespect. And these people are not trying to I know how the crime situation is. But people look past them a lot and don't value them how they should be. I'll just put it simply that way.
The feeding the nation.
That's a very important job with real food.
Kerron, what's your experience, bro?
I have not faced much disrespect. I think maybe because I would have started off at a different area in the industry. I started off supplying, so I was a middleman. I would supply, I would buy and sell goods. But definitely there is disrespect, and what Stuart just mentioned. I've been in business 8 years, but this will be my 9th year. The farmers I know, when they go to purchase a vehicle, they're not going for a loan. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of the times they may look down at this one and watch how they're dressing and whatever the case. Sometimes poor English, they didn't finish school. I know some farmers that finished school at the age of 16, 15, 14. And these guys have vehicles. They can't drive. But they have vehicles. That should just give you an idea of what it is. As rightly said, they're feeding the nation. Some of these guys you're watching sending goods up the islands, Barbados, Jamaica. Yep. That is who they are supplying. And I wouldn't speak too much on companies so people can have an idea of what and what, but there are farmers who have one customer only, and they only need one customer. So that's just an idea.
But before we go to Stuart's, what caught Stuart's eye? What are your thoughts on the incentives and the programs that the minister would have spoken about, and have you benefited from any of these?
But they're all great incentives, great programs. Have I benefited thus far? I would benefit soon because I've applied to get my farmer's badge. One issue I would have had was with the homestead program. When it first came out, I made an attempt to apply, but it was full time.
Right.
I'm running my business full time. There's no way I can attend 2 years of classes and be in class and run my business at the same time. So I would have called in, asked if there's a part-time. They said no, not as yet, and so on. She told me still apply, but I didn't because there's a barrier there already. You're telling me to apply, although you wouldn't get it because I am going to be truthful on my application and say I am working full time.
Right.
Because even if I do lie about it, I won't be attending the classes. I would not qualify for what is to come in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, myself and a couple other guys, when they did have the part-time, I have friends who applied still. They should have gotten the first preference, and they were looked over.
Wow.
And for me, it was a time-sensitive thing. As I mentioned, my birthday, I'm going to be 36 Thursday.
Right.
18 to 35. I'm no longer in the age group, but me, I'm one not to stick on an issue. I'm solution-based. I have my own land at the moment. I went through the process. I went to the ADB and I purchased my own land. So I'm no longer waiting on any homestead or anything like that. I went about and got it on my own. And, but not everybody might think like that. Not everybody might be that active or proactive, I should say. Mm-hmm. But those little things, well, I can't blame them too much because it's the first time and it's a great program. But few people will slip through the cracks in that little period between the now launching and now deciding to do the part-time as well as having a full-time. But the other incentives are great. One issue that they do face though, people go and get their farmer's badge, go and get all the incentives, and they don't use it for what they're supposed to be using it for. And that is a serious issue.
Wow. And
Yeah.
that is something that we actually want to talk about a lot more later.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I want to hear what caught Stuart's side this week.
Well, let me just wrap up onto that. So, in terms of the last point there, that seems more like a management, a monitoring issue, But I just want to clarify. The program you're speaking about, is this the agriculture incentive program with the agro incentive grant?
No, that's the youth homestead program.
Because I was confused as if that had an age limit of 35 as well, the one I am mentioning.
I'm not too sure if the other one if there's an age limit, but the program there's an age limit, 18 to 35.
Okay. But just to wrap up on that, I agree. That's a good program they're running there. A lot
Excellent
of incentives.
Yeah.
Because these people is high risk with the amount of perennial larceny. It's high risk. You could invest your time, your energy, your resources, and you could wake up one morning and nothing there. Right? So that will transition to my article in terms of what caught my eye. It's not really an article. It's really something I saw on the same Minister Hossain's, his website. It was a statement. Minister Hossain issues a strong warning. You are now ready and equipped to address and deal with the outlaws. So basically, the outlaws. So what the story was about, because it's more of a press release than an article. It was the addition of 67 new recruits to the perennial larceny squad, which now carries the complement up to 104. So it's more than doubled. They say now they're equipped to address and deal with all the outlaws, right? So the graduates are well equipped to deal with the farmers' challenges, he states. He also states that the shareholders, the police force, and the municipal police service, and that these officers make arrests, do patrols, do visits, they file reports. But he also tempered expectations by stating that nothing occurs overnight. So this caught my eye because I knew we were having a conversation with someone in the industry. So my question was to Kerron is, okay, 104 people comprising this team. Not all of them will be out in the field. Some will be administrative, some will be in the field, some will be doing other things. So obviously it is a step forward. You have to move from 0 to 1 to 2. So I'm happy with the step forward. So do you see this having a big impact on the industry?
I would say it's a small step because I don't think a lot of people are really informed on how serious it is with regard to perennial larceny. My mentor, he does lettuce, and you know what it is to come to your garden and an entire bed, 1,000+ lettuce is gone. You left that there in the evening, and you come back and there's nothing anymore. That is
Heartbreaking.
thousands of dollars that's gone. And that is in not just the produce, of course, what went into it, the minerals, all the chemicals, some of the pesticides, all these different things that would have gone, fertilizers, all the different things. All that is gone. You can't just check the produce.
Yeah.
All that adds up. And so I'm happy that they're taking this step forward, but I think it needs to be, more needs to be done. Sorry to say, I applaud it, but it's far more serious. And in some cases, people's lives are being threatened. People are being robbed by gunpoint. There was an incident where leaving the garden with goods to go to the market, a farmer entire truck, his truck, everything was taken. And he has a big farm. He has over 4 acres, and he's a big supplier. And now for 2 3 years after, he has not returned to his farm
Wow.
Wow.
because of that incident. And it's really sad. It's a sad case, and the fact that these are the people that are feeding the nation, as you mentioned, is a very important job. And just look at what happened during COVID. During COVID, we were the ones outside. I was outside the road, up and down, delivering goods, delivering market goods, and definitely need more protection. It's a great step, but I think more needs to be done. Definitely.
Now, what I would be interested in is not only the increase in the number of officers, which of course up to 104, and I don't even want to get into the maths as to how that relates to the population and how many farms and farmers that there really are, right?
Correct.
So we'll leave that part there. And as you mentioned, is an investment, right? The farmer is making in his produce, in the minerals and all the stuff that you need to get your crops grown or your livestock going. But also the time, which is a precious resource.
Correct.
And that you can't get back. You could spend the money, you could lose it, you probably could get back at some point. But the time, that you put in, you may have had to hire others as well, and their time as well, So, to me, as you said, it is a step in the right direction, I should say. But what also are the ramifications for someone charged, even if held?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Right?
I haven't heard of anything ever.
Right, exactly, right. So, we increase the force. And I, of course, I always tell people I am an expert of nothing. So, feel free, you guys, to chime in the comments and give us some feedback if you know. We'll do our research on our end as well, in terms of how many of these cases have faced the courts and what would have been the different outcomes. How many years in prison? Or is it just a slap on the wrist? A fine, maybe?
You're really asking a complicated question because I went through this. I'm not a farmer, but I have trees in my yard.
Oh, yeah.
I cut down my big Zabuka tree. Pride of the area. The Zabuka tree, there for generations. And because of this one problem, police came and took away some individuals before. But the following season, they right there again.
Yep.
So it reached a point where I cut down my own Zabuka tree. So the frustration, the risk could, make it decide to make some drastic decisions. But I guess we're going to have a discussion tonight about how we could take this risky business and turn it into successful ventures. So,
and something a little more fruitful.
A little more fruitful. You're on point there, Kendall. You're on point.
And that's What Caught Our Eye, brought to you by IBOMAQ. Whether you're seeking guidance or solutions for your business, we're here to help. Contact us via IBOMAQ868@gmail.com. That's IBOMAQ868@gmail.com. And let's discuss how we can collaborate for your success. That's right, you guys. We're back on the Big Potato Podcast. My co-host Stuart, yours truly Kendall. I'm here, and we're here tonight with a very special guest, Mr. Kerron Modeste. As we told you guys, founder and director of Modeste Home Growers Company Limited. Now, we want to find out more about this company. We want to find out more about Kerron himself, as we ask all our guests, how did you get started as an entrepreneur? Where did it start? And how did it blossom and really flourish into where you are today? And is it that you always thought agriculture would be your avenue?
Definitely not. Definitely not. How it all started, well, my grandfather owns some acres and he has a small orchard. And then one day he got a call that someone was encroaching on his land. So my father, my grandfather, and an uncle of mine, we went up to walk the land, check the bounds, and all these different things. And on that day, I saw the full oranges, the amount of trees, how many oranges, and so on. And an uncle of mine made a comment, "Wait, how are we gonna suck all these oranges?" And I turned like, what are you, what are you talking about? These are things to sell, So I asked my grandfather for his blessing. He said, "Go right ahead." And that was a Sunday. So Monday I went to work with a bag full of oranges, sold it out. I took orders, and I did that the following week. And I simply told myself, if I could do that with one item, I could do that with the entire market. But initially, the idea was Modeste citrus growers. But of course, I sat down, did my research, and realized how long it would take for orange tree to bear and all these different things. And I said, this could never be a business for me to start now, and I could do now and benefit from now. So the idea went straight to, if I could do it with one item, I could do it with every item in the market. So the following month,
Right.
I would have taken my last salary and I purchased bananas and I started taking orders for bananas. So I would have resigned and started taking orders for bananas. So for 2 whole months, I sold bananas only.
Mm.
And you couldn't tell me I wasn't doing something. For 2 months selling my bananas, because it was mine. I did it, and the money I earned was mine. And shortly after, I started purchasing apples, grapes, and so on until I had the full market. I was delivering the full market, retail at that point in time. So it was only retail, so offices, schools, so on, just the people, one-on-one, people in my area and so on. But I quickly said I need to do wholesale.
Right.
How was I going to transition to wholesale where I'm still fighting with some of the farmers and suppliers to give me a better price so that I can even make proper on retail? And I met with, I say mentor, first time I met him. He sells lettuce, and I was having a discussion with him, and he was listening to me and so on, listening to what I was saying, and he was like, this is where you get a break. Sometimes you just need somebody to really give you a break. And he said,
Eureka moment.
Yes, he said, you know what? I'll give you 50 heads of lettuce and pay me next week. So, first line of credit ever. And
Wow.
I quickly ran. I sold all those lettuce very quickly. And one time I decided to start going to bigger businesses, the companies, talking in such a way like, I have all this, I want this, I can supply with this, I can do that. And I started offering credit off of my small credit, And quickly enough, I started having conversation with other farmers, other suppliers, and quickly enough, I built up great relationships and was able to have credit from all these other persons. So here I am now going to restaurants, established restaurants, and supplying these restaurants. And it just kept growing from there. I always wanted a product though. I always wanted a product. So apart from, yes, it's the market, I'm still in the market, but apart from the market, I'm really selling convenience. People always mix it up. The produce is the end result of what I'm doing. The convenience is what I'm selling. You don't have to go to the market. I'm bringing it to you. And that's why the tagline of the company is Modeste Home Growers. We bring the market to you, But I wanted a product. Like, okay, I sell one of this, I make this, and this is modest money. Like, I don't have to pay this one or credit this or, I wanted a product, and I wanted a product of mine on shelves selling. So I quickly started thinking of what I could have done, what I could come up with. And the idea came on fruit bowls. So I started doing fruit bowls. People were very much interested in it. I started trying to shop it around, but it's fruits, it's fresh fruits. Short,
Yeah.
short shelf
Short
span, right?
lifespan.
Very short. Did my test. It came up to 4 days. 4 days. I said, where I can get this in that it would sell out so quickly. So I started looking around. I went to some pharmacies, some other breakfast places, and so sure enough, I started getting orders and customers and so on. But apart from that, one of the biggest things that for me was Carnival. And why Carnival? Because, well, as Kendall, as you would know, my first entry into business really was in entertainment.
Right.
So I was thinking, how do I be a part of Carnival? To me, to all business, I always tell people who start businesses or who are in businesses that Carnival is a buffet. And if you're not in line with your plate, I don't know what you're doing. Regardless of what your business is, you need to be in Carnival. It's the biggest thing that we have. And you need to position your business in such a way that you can benefit from it. Whatever it is, I'm sure there's a way you could tailor something to be a part of it. And I looked at my fruit bowls and I said, this is it. This could be a breakfast. It could be something. Somebody could want fruit bowls in their band, the mass band or the juve band or whatever the case. And sure enough, that year I went brave and bold and I got through to one of the biggest bands possible. I got through to Yuma. And this is me, small fry still, talking big numbers. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there saying, how am I going to do this? But of course,
True entrepreneur.
You don't show that. I say, I could do this. And sure enough, I was able to supply them. And I made it happen. And a juve ban as well, and another juve ban. And that went on for years. I was supplying mass bands, supply some juve bands, and it kept growing. So I was able to get my item, a product, and sure enough, I went on to supply in cricket, CPL, and all these other different things. And today is a mainstay with some bands. Some companies believe in the fruit bowls. They have the 5K. They will call me for fruit bowls and so on. So it was a way of me branching out to start not just only having one or two food places or restaurants or so on, but I needed to really stabilize income because it's cash intensive. And cash intensive in the sense that a lump sum goes out, but as quickly as it comes in, guess what? It goes back out.
Right.
I needed something to keep it stable, and the product for me was it. But still, it was not still stable enough for me. So I went back to the drawing board. Always important to go back to the drawing board, write down everything. I write down everything. So I went back to the drawing board and thinking, how can I earn income, save income, dispatch, have enough, and to continue having a steady flow. Not months of, hey, And I came up with something called Market Tab. So basically, like a prepaid card, your phone card, a prepaid card for the market. So you purchase a value card at $150. You make an order. Let's say order comes to $50. You then get a message stating your balance is $100 or whatever the case. And what that did for me was basically a subscription to market. So people would pay upfront for their goods, and I would have this money upfront.
Mm-hmm.
And it really allowed me a lot of movement, a big ease of always having to run and pay this bill or pay that and all these different things. So things like these allow me to keep growing and keep relevant, because it was, to some people they were always saying, "Why? How you doing all these things with the market? Like, who would have thought that you could have a prepaid market card, you know, that sort of thing. And
Well, this is where I want to kind of jump in and find out more about that. You know, like what was the opportunity that you were seeing, or even the problem that you were seeing, that, you know, you thought that this particular feature or this particular value really delivering that to your customers. How did that come about, you know, and how does it work?
Okay, well, I saw two problems. One was on the customer's end as well, because at the end of the month, or in the middle of the month, a customer wants to purchase, but guess what? Nah, I don't have right now. I wouldn't place an order, this and that. And of course, that's affecting my sales. And also, in terms of me, not always having cash on hand for now, to do this, to do that. Because as I said, I have credit, I give in credit. So customers owing me, I have money for suppliers, and it's just that give and take all the time. So I needed somewhere to build capital. Basically, it was me trying to just build capital and have capital here. And that's where the market tab idea came about. I needed to find a way to customers to pay me beforehand. So how would I get somebody to give me money in advance for market, way in advance? And I came up with that's how I came up with the market structure. And it worked quite well. I was able to ease some strain with regards to the always the tug and pull with funds. And it lasted a while. I still have the market. Tabs are still running as well.
Right.
So that was my solution to keep having capital, keeping capital as well.
Excellent, man. Excellent initiative. And folks, you all hearing the innovation, right?
That's exactly what I wanted to speak about. It may sound simple, what he's saying there, but there's three key takeaways I wanna just rephrase and reframe. So that prepaid value card would have been an innovation for him to free up his cash flow. Right?
Yeah.
So, as you mentioned, he able to get pre-orders, pre-sales, so money coming in before product even produced or ready to go out. So, that's a great, excellent tip to help with your cash flow as a farmer. Then, secondly, I liked how you were able to leverage the supply chain. You didn't know how you're going to supply all these items, but yet you knew you'll be able to get it done because you have a network of other farmers, of other suppliers you could tap into and execute the job. So that's another brilliant thing there. And lastly, I appreciated how you added value to your product in a new branded way. So you could sell the fruits in a fruit stall by the pound, or you could sell the fruit bowl at a premium price. So that added value to the product is, for instance, having a poultry and a barbecue place in front. Or you're selling peppers and you're selling pepper sauce as well. So for the listeners, for the future agripreneurs, the rural entrepreneurs, listen carefully to what Kerron is saying.
And I mean, I believe, as you all know well, in opportunity. And the forward integration that has taken place, where you could now take your crops, as Stuart said, and you literally move from one industry into another, right? Because you now move from food production or just raw food supply into now a produced good, where you enter in the restaurant industry now, you enter in stores, as you said. You enter in parties, you enter in events, the mass bands, cultural spaces.
Correct.
It's definitely brand building as well. And I commend you on that, Kerron, because that's excellent. And it really drives me to my next question. Where do you see yourself being positioned in the industry right now? So obviously you would have said that you started off as a middleman, more or less purchasing goods, reselling. Then you started having your own products and so on. And you also mentioned in the intro earlier that you have applied for your farmer's badge and that you're looking and you acquired land.
Correct.
So it obviously means that you now doing some backward integration as well.
Correct.
Tell us a little more about that.
Well, I see myself at every point of the supply chain. So planting my own produce, using my produce to make secondary products, and also my produce as a supply. So I'll be supplying myself and creating produce and products out of my own actual produce that I will be planting. So that's what that came about. Now, in my business plan, as I always say, a business plan as a businessman or business person, your business plan is your Bible, and you say you always go to your Bible, right? So it will always change, and mine has changed drastically.
Right.
At
Pivoting.
correct, and at certain points, things will always be when or what you say it will be at that whatever point in time. Because if I were to go to my business plan right now, I would have had land in year 3. I wrote big and bold, year 3, start planting your own crops. Year 3,
Yeah.
I am now 9 years.
Projections always
Correct.
get out of
I'm now
control.
9 years. But however, the amount of different things I did in the space of time between the 3rd year and this 9th year, I had
Right.
no idea I was going to do that. I had no idea I was going to be people cook in events with fruits, I had no idea I would have this market tab. I have no idea that all these different things that I also was able to achieve over the years, the accolades and the competitions, I had no idea any of those things were going to happen, So as much as I can look back and say at the 3rd year you didn't do this, the amount of things that did happen and I did change or did do differently to reach to this point there's a reason for that as well. I know I was not ready then. I can say that for sure because now I have the knowledge, I have the experience, I have so much of a bigger network. I'm a part of a much larger network. I have mentors who could help me through. And I started my own planting 2 years prior on my grandfather's land. So that was direct trial and error practice. I was able to hone my skills and talents in the farming. So I have an idea of how to do this, what to do this. I experimented with different things. In the 3rd year, I highly doubt I would be able to have done that, So
Sure, and it's all about timing, right?
Yeah, always time and experience. And I'm a big believer in the law of attraction. I always speak to positivity and speak to the things. A lot of things that I have experienced in life, I've spoken about it first, And
Right.
to be at this point is exactly all these different things is what has brought me to this point. So yeah.
He sounds just like a true entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You have to have a strong locus of control.
Yeah.
You have to believe you could control your full destiny.
Correct.
I think I was telling you this the other day, Kendall. You have some people who believe the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. But then you have some people who believe the sun rises in the east of them and sets in the west of them. And that they have control and they don't just exist in this open space without any impact on that open space. So he's sounding like he has full control. Whatever
He's
he
on the
believes,
ball.
whatever he say, he will bring it into fruition.
Fruition.
Not
Yeah, yeah.
fruition. I almost said fruition.
The jokes writing themselves tonight, boy.
One thing I always say, as you mentioned, one thing I always say is as well as with certain things, like when you want something and trying to achieve something, you have to tell yourself it's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when, and that is time again. A lot of things I always say that it's not if I will be able to do this, it's when. I can do it. I will be able to do it. Might be able to do it today, tomorrow, but later on is when. So that's how I look at everything, at all aspects is when. It's just when. It's not
Well,
if, it's a when.
there's an entrepreneur journey. Notice that journey. You don't just get there off the first step.
Correct.
So it takes your time, and these are the things that make you a good entrepreneur. In the first episode, we said you could be entrepreneurial, but to be a great entrepreneur, you have to have experience, maturity, and understand how to really incorporate and manage all of the different elements of it. So I am very impressed with what you're saying there, Kerron.
Very powerful indeed.
Thank you.
Now, just before we take this very short break, in terms of Modeste Home Growers, Kerron, what you're telling us is you are going to be working the entire ecosystem going forward.
Correct.
Perfect. Because before we take this break, the question really is, do you consider yourself a farmer? Because there will be some persons in the agricultural industry who would say, but he ain't get his hands dirty. He just buying produce from somebody else and reselling it. How do you see that?
Well, I would say I'm a businessman, and I am going to do farming, and I have been doing farming, so my hand has gotten dirty. However, I wouldn't box myself in and say I'm a farmer. I'm a businessman through and through. I see the opportunity. I do it. This is in agriculture. These are the opportunities. I'm passionate about building things and growing things. So agriculture became that. I initially saw it as an opportunity for business because I like business. So I got into business. I saw something I could build and I started building it. And I reached a point where in building it, farming came a part of it. And I started doing that. And again, farming is much like building something. You're there with one plant and you're growing, and you're building this up. You're building up this piece of land, you're building this area, and it just continued as me building something and creating something. And that has always been my passion, to build and create and see it grow to a point, And I wouldn't say I am a farmer. I would say I'm a businessman. Of course, I would say I'm a farmer as well because I farm. But
yes,
holistically and in a nutshell, I'm a businessman.
And I'm happy with what you said because I didn't want to say it myself. That this is exactly what I described in the intro. While we may be talking about the agriculture industry, there are so many avenues that you can take within the industry as an entrepreneur, or as Kerron put it, as a businessman. So kudos to all the farmers, and Kerron himself, as he said, is a farmer as well. But he's also an entrepreneur. And for all you entrepreneurs out there, please take that card and slot it into your deck and remember that. We take a short break. On the Go TT, expanding convenience. Virtual shopping mall available on iOS and Android. Download and shop for electronics, books, hardware items, and much more.
Okay, so we're back with Mr. Kerron Modeste, having a very, very intelligent conversation, I'll say that. No, just now, before the break, you mentioned that you're not really, not just a farmer, but you're a businessman. I will beg to differ, I would say entrepreneur. So, my thing is, all farmers are businessmen. They might know it, but they all make business decisions in terms of what crop to plant, what price to set it at, who they're selling it to. They are all businessmen. It's just that they may not know that. They may not consider that. So let's talk some business. The business of agriculture. how do you, going back to niches, how do you choose your crops? For instance, I was doing some research and I saw that using US prices, right? Tomatoes per acre could be valued at about $7,800 per acre. Yet strawberries, 1 acre could be about $23,500 US. Floral hemp for CBD, $38,000 per acre. Now the watermelons will be lower, it'll be about $5,000 per acre. So how do you decide, aside from the seasonal issues like sorrel for Christmas, your choice of products, what goes into that decision?
But with me, because I had a different journey a different journey. I didn't start farming and then started supplying places. I was supplying places, then started farming. So I know what crops, what items are quick, what are very expensive, what is usually high in demand, what is risky, and that's on the supply end of things, from me supplying it. So I would know what I would have problems with. Well, gosh, boy, this ain't storing well in the chiller, this ain't lasting long. So I had it from on that side. Then to actually planting it. So from the beginning, I knew there was some produce I was like, nah, I don't
You're not even wasting your time.
Yeah, because of me just buying it and selling it and the issues I had with it. I'm not going to plant that. And then, of course, they have the other items that was like, wait, these are always in high demand. It's a shorter crop. I could work with this. This item, is great. It's a little longer, but it lasts long. And guess what? I could get a secondary product from it. So hot peppers, I plant hot peppers. I plant lettuce. I plant sweet peppers. And I want to start as well watermelon, because, well, for me, watermelon is a big seller in general and is a main part of my fruit bowls. So I should be planting what I'm using. And apart from that, in my other business, I also use watermelon. So I choose my crops that's how I choose my crops. I also supply businesses that use a lot of lettuce, and lettuce is a short-term crop. And to be feasible and to survive, farmers, well, for me, a lot of farmers, some farmers do long crops, some just do short. I believe you need to have short and long term. That's according to some people just do lettuce, some people just plant one thing, fine. For me, I believe you have a short term crop to keep your cash flow. You have a long term crops as well to steady and go throughout the season. And that's how I devised my plan, with how I would have my little experience and working alongside farmers and in supplying businesses. So I saw it in the reverse. I didn't start planting and then start to go and sell things. I was selling the items and saw the issues with whatever, and knew what I didn't want to run into, knew what I could have dealt with, knew what was looked simpler to deal with, and what was feasible, and what was also one of the most requested crops from me, in terms of requested produce, I should say. So now I plant it myself and I supply it myself.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, you're controlling your whole ecosystem. Isn't that what Apple is doing?
Exactly.
You got that one though, eh? Apple?
Yeah, you're on point. You're on point. You're winning points tonight.
I tell you, jokes writing themselves in this episode. But seriously though, Kerron, that is really, really commendable. Now, on the other side of that though, you plant crops, you do all the work to get them going. Of course, you have your other businesses that you may use some of your crops in, as you said, and then you sell and supply. There's also wastage. And I was actually reading an article recently where, it spoke to the wastage and food wastage really and truly, and how much crops, farmers really, I don't want to say it, but how much of farmers' crops, I should say, go to waste because they can't get it sold or they don't have any use for it. I mean, during COVID, we saw that high time as well where they had to be dumping potatoes, and now then they had a potato shortage after that. So I mean, what are your thoughts, and how do you think that, you know, that whole wasted situation really could be managed and dealt with?
Well, immediately when you say wastage, immediately you think of, as I say, you have a problem, you look for a solution. You're talking about raw produce
Right.
that will disintegrate and give off minerals that you can mix in manure, minerals that you can mix back in the soil and get something out of it. Those things could actually be used to fertilize, to refertilize. You could use those things to fertilize things again. You know, we have to work around it, find a way to work around it, but it can be used. And wastage as well in terms of old lettuce and all the. When I started facing wastage, because I myself had wastage when, you know, the crops, whatever crop I purchased, the produce I purchased from the farmer, whatever, it wasn't holding up in the chiller, this, that, the other. Guess what? I found a guy. He had chickens, and he would lay eggs. He said he had layers, he had eggs. He also sold chickens as well. And I started selling him my wastage because he was also experimenting with the different things that they would eat, and they would be bigger and they would lay a different kind of egg. And so he was basically taking all my wastage. He would be upset when I do have wastage because he wants to feed his animals, and then that started to grow. So there was a guy, he had pigs, and they would eat the old lettuce and the old cabbage, and so it was an opportunity. You know, you as I say, you have a problem, you think quickly, and so you could use those things.
A real agripreneur.
You could use those things to fertilize. You find a way, you experiment with it, you fertilize things. Find something you can make with it. Now, at the scale at which you were dumping potatoes and things, you would think that as quickly as they have the issue, that they would try and figure out, hey, what could we do with all these potatoes? I think they could have really done something way better with those potatoes. And as I said, with the animals, there are animals that eat and feed off of those things. So that's just it was, for me, when I had those issues, it was just another avenue.
Okan is a true entrepreneur.
Another avenue and another revenue stream.
Correct.
Because what's trash to you is gold to somebody else.
Because
Is it
that's
really
gold.
trash?
Correct.
You know?
Correct.
Amazing stuff. Every single part of the chain, you have to add value. All right. So let me ask you about this. You spoke about the technology you employ with regard to the pre-sales. What about the technology you employ in the farming itself? Are you still out there with the fully traditional? When you do the farming, are you still out there with the traditional style, or how heavily invested are you in machinery and latest technology?
Not so heavily invested in it. For the most part, in the general clearing of the land and so on, but the backhoe will come in and do those things and plow and so on. But with regards to the actual planting and spraying, dropping your fertilizer and your greens and so on, I definitely hands-on when it comes to that. I've seen many different techniques that people use. They have the different sort of watering machines and all these different things. My space is not ready for that. I would say I don't have. I'm working with. Currently going to be working on 2 acres. It just doesn't just yet call for that amount of machinery and so on. As much as it is there and it's helpful, but in terms of widespread machinery, I'm not just yet at that point. But definitely soon enough, I would be at that point, and I would definitely be investing in that.
Well, it shocked me because I have a family member who is involved in farming in the States, and they have 1,000 acres. And when they told me how many people work that 1,000 acres, I was shocked.
Yeah,
On average, it's about 5 people
Hmm.
per 1,000 acres.
That's crazy.
And
yeah.
I talk
There are
about
machines
when you're driving
that
to
do
his farm,
everything.
you're just driving past beds and beds and beds, and you're seeing all the machines and everything, and it's like, wow, 5 people alone, 1,000 acres.
And actually, again, we always reading, we always seeing stuff, right? I saw something that another farmer, Alpha Senon, I don't know if you're
Right.
familiar with him, but he actually,
Yeah, yeah.
right, yeah, he was actually, he actually is someone that, speaks a lot on agriculture and farming and, does a lot as well, well recognized. And he was actually saying that, he coined it agriculture, with the word cool in the middle, because he was saying that you have to make agriculture cool for younger people, younger folks like Kerron and those coming up as well. And a major part of that and his reasoning was because of the technology and the advancement in the technology, and him saying that more of the, I don't want to say older, but more mature and seasoned farmers who are in the industry for a very long time and they would have their ways of doing things, they are not quickly adopting the technology into their business. So, to what you said, Stuart, and even further to what you said, Kerron, for the younger farmers, agriculture is coming up. Certainly, your eyes on the technology. I mean, Stuart just spoke about 1,000 acres with 5 people working. I mean, if you don't understand or can't visualize that, Google it or something and see for yourself, that kind of operation, would be highly technological. So be sure to keep your eyes on the advancements in the industry, the trends, which is really what I want to go to next, because in every single industry, it is being affected, or I should say impacted, by technology and advancements. I mean, everybody have the word AI rolling off their tongues these days, in some form or fashion. So are you inculcating the technology? Are you fighting against it as an entrepreneur, as a farmer out there, as somebody in the industry? Or are you finding ways to integrate it into your business? As Kerron said, when he gets his stuff going and fully operational and moving on to another phase of growth, he is going to integrate this into his business. Trends, my friend, aside from the technology, Kerron, what other trends are you seeing and probably capitalizing on in terms of your business?
Definitely second-hand produce, second-hand products. So you have peppers, pepper sauce. The
Right.
persons are planting cassava, making cassava flour. And a lot of these things are also health-based. So you find a lot of farmers doing things towards health, you know, especially with those different flours that they're making. That is a big hit. And also simple things, and something is simple. It might even be a secondary produce, but the way in which you make the product or the produce convenient for use.
Right.
As simple as them, they cutting up the bhaji and putting it in the pack, and they put throw into pepper and a piece of pumpkin and okra. That's a callaloo pack.
Right.
Something as simple as that. You don't have to be a farmer to do that. You could just go and buy these things and put it all together, and you have your own. You don't have to plant one thing. You just sit, you have an idea, you see, hey, people like to make this. I can make this easy with everything in our pack. You don't have to go and buy this and everything. Again, you're not selling the produce. You're selling convenience. I don't have to now
Yes.
cut up this and wash it up. You have done all that already. You cut it, this, that is the exact amount I need. This piece of pumpkin is the exact I need to blend in this to make it, So those trends are what I see coming about with the second hand produce, as well as the convenience, making the item convenient for use, and is one that I admire. I definitely would like to one day have. Well, it's in the planning stage for me to do my own pepper sauce as well. So have my peppers, have my pepper sauce, and also making, as I said, items easier to use, easier to use. Again, convenience, saving time and so on in the industry. So you could sit and think about what can I make convenient in agriculture? What can I make convenient for food? And you would get so many different ideas, that you could run with. And you don't have to be, as I said, you don't have to be a farmer to go and do these things. And you
But
can
you
make a
definitely,
kalupa. You can make a kalupa. You don't have to be a farmer to do that. There are lots of
Just hit our
opportunities,
market.
especially
Is it?
in that regard.
Hit our market, get everything you need, and you sell it in the packs. But there's something you said there. I agree with everything you said there, but something that you hit me in my heart with that one. I feel guilty about it. When you said, yes, this size pumpkin is the right size pumpkin. Because I'm guilty of it, and many people are guilty of it. You buy something, you put it in your fridge, you cut out, you use it, you cook, you put the rest in the fridge, and when you go
Waste.
back for it, wasted.
wastage.
Yeah.
Wasted. So it has its pros, it has its cons, but it definitely has some pros. Especially for like bachelors, small families. You're not buying that whole bushel, a sieve, You buy a smaller convenient pack and you make it work. But as you're speaking about trends, let me ask you about a controversial trend. What about this whole net zero and farming talk all over the place? How that's impacting you as a farmer?
Excuse?
The net zero and farming. Are they trying to reduce the farmers' carbon emissions? Some people had to get rid of their cows and get rid of certain farming spaces because it's bad use of environmental resources. So I'm not too sure how far advanced we are in that in Trinidad. But is it something affecting you? Is something you consider, you think about at all?
Definitely. Well, when we do look at the issue with the global warming, and when they do check the greenhouse effect and the different issues they're having with that, it was crazy when I did look at a documentary, and they showed the amount of emissions from a farm where they had thousands and thousands of cattle, and it was crazy to think that was being produced by something that we would think is good. It's farming. They have cows, it's beef, it's meat, and so on, and we need to eat, and so on and so on. And it caused a lot of discussion within my group as farming group and so on, because it went on to the point of persons getting more moral, like being moral, and the fact that it raised the argument that we don't need to eat meat, right? So that went straight away from farming to a whole other topic. But in terms of me, I have not been affected. Have I thought about it? I definitely have thought about those situations, because it definitely is affecting us. I saw recently they said that we have 2 years to save the world. That's what scientists are saying. We have 2 years to reverse the effects of global warming. And I believe these are the drastic measures that they are taking to do so. It is going to affect a lot of farmers. There are a lot of cattle farmers, and the amount of meat that is sold around the world is crazy. The poundage that is the amount that they sell by the ton of meat and so on around the world. And it's not just farming them, it's the entire industry behind it. Boats are moving the meat. Planes are flying, moving the meat. All these things are giving off emissions. So it's not just there. If you understand what I'm saying, it's not just there.
Yeah, correct.
The entire line is affecting the environment.
The
So
entire value chain, I guess.
it is a serious thing to definitely we have to look at, and the fact that they are now we know they say things and we not they go about they be extra about it, but it's something we have to definitely look at. And it is going to affect farming. As I said, they are shutting down farms and so on around.
Well, I'm happy it's not affecting you as yet, because trying to not go too much into this, because if I say the things about this whole environment, like, you can't tell me we have 2 years to save the world, but the less I say about this, the better.
And on that note, Kerron, before we wrap up tonight, just a couple more things, because I thought, it would be very insightful for some of our listeners to understand. So you got started in entertainment, and now you're into agriculture, which is a huge transition, really and truly. And I mean, you're still in entertainment, so let me not discredit you as well. But really and truly, how has your personal brand, being Kerron Modeste, helped you to build your network and strategic partners in order to really take advantage of the opportunities that you so vividly have seen? Because you seem very intuitive, very innovative. You have a lot of vision, a lot of drive, passion, all entrepreneurial traits and qualities, So how has your personal brand impacted really and truly your success thus far in enabling you to really develop your network and build up those strategic partners that you needed as suppliers, as mentors, as even customers, choosing your target market, etc.?
I would say it has been the cornerstone. In my background, I would have met a lot of persons in different arenas, and I have used that to my advantage to where I am today. I can walk up to a promoter and say, hey, I want my fruit bowls in your party. The market is now in a party. Something people would never think of. But due to my network and the amount of people I would have known and met through the years, and I have always linked and have good relationships with, most importantly, to be able to keep and maintain good relationships. Managing of relationships, I would say, is very important. It's a critical part of being an entrepreneur, to be able to manage relationships and manage personalities. People's personalities are different. You have to know how to deal with it, how they react to certain things, how you will react to it. These are things you need to learn early on. I'm still learning, but these are things you need to learn early on.
Of course.
That definitely has had me to where I am today. I would have known persons years and years in events, and eventually they saw I was doing something else. And as much as I made the transition, I would say they made the transition with me, not into the business, but into the vision of seeing what I am doing, and openly allowed me to, hey, yeah, you could do that in this. Let me see how it works. Let me put the fruit bowls in the party. Let me see. And guess what? It was a hit. Hey, they like it. Breakfast, fine. Move on. You have a water party. Yeah, you need breakfast. Yeah. And a lot of things that I built as well. It wasn't just I was with a chisel and just chiseling away at some persons. Some persons disregarded my ideas and my thoughts immediately. So it came with a lot of investment. I sponsored a lot of things because of what I saw could happen. And a lot of times I sponsor for one thing, but really and truly I'm seeing another opportunity. And you mightn't see what I'm doing as yet. You might see, you might understand. But I say, hey, I'm sponsoring this. Why? What that? But you know what? They take it anyway because it's freeness they give to people. And then later on you realize, well, oh, you was really building up for this on this side of things. And that is how I was able to, with FET. With FET is cocktails and so on. That is how I was able to sort of marry the two in events, because if you do look, no, FET is cocktails. So that should be in a party. That should be in a FET, right? off the top is a cocktails alcohol party. But I had to, in a lot of cases, Modest Home Growers was already in these promoters' eyes or whoever I would have worked with, already in their events. It's in the Juve, it's in the whatever, and I'm coming with a new product. And they were still hesitant, although this is a cocktail. Why would you not have a cocktail in a party?
Exactly.
And I was able to marry the two. So eventually, over the years, Modest Home Growers was in an event, and immediately it just welcomed FET. Come on, FET just came along after because of me and what I would have done for them in the years before, sponsored and so on and so on. So a lot of times people would question me. My sister, my business partner, respect, she would question me, hey, partner, we need sponsoring thing. I said, Miss Lady, we have to build up, we have to build our footing. We have to build our footing. I said, pretty soon, this will be no more. They will call us off the top because of the service provided and the quality, you know. And quickly enough, of course, she would have seen what I was doing and seen how I use the brands to barter for each other, you know. So whereas if you have an event, I say, hey, I'll sponsor this, but hey, we'll take a package from FET now.
Right.
All right, yeah, you will take that and you put that nice small thing you get that. And it reached a point where I'm at a space now with obviously not everybody, but with certain promoters that I could call if I have something new on my mind. I could call and say, hey, I see you doing that thing. I want to come and do so. Yeah, you fix up now. They're not even asking the
Right.
details of what exactly I want to do. But because I have been here a while, my personality, what I would have
Build that
done for
trust
them,
too.
and the way I would have worked, the quality, and always the quality. The quality is always, that's very important. The quality of what you do and the way in which you do things, it makes it much easier for people to accept and people to work alongside you. I believe your personality is also is one of the most important things. So me being who I am and from back in the day and being a part of the entertainment industry made it a lot easier for me to navigate in business on the whole, as well as to be in all these different industries at once. And now I'm
Right.
at the point where I've started back doing events. And guess what? These same promoters, they would support my events same way. They would come out, bring teams, this, that, the other, because hey, it's the fruits man. As right now,
Fantastic.
that's how it is. It's fruits man. I'm this is crazy. They have
Fruits man.
companies that pay me and the envelope says fruits man. I don't know if these people know my name. You understand? So I was able to blend and in all these different industries and I would say mesh them together, combine them, where the market is in the parties, cocktails is where it's supposed to be in the parties, and it was just a whole marriage with me being in all these different things, and I was able to mesh and mingle and make it all into one thing, you know. So just over the weekend, there was an event, and my footballs was an event, my promo team was an event, you know, and there are events where everything that I'm involved in is featured at the event. My cocktails are there, my footballs are there, my promo team is there, you know, and anything else that I create or come up with or whatever is going to be the same thing. It's all going to come along. It's going to come along as into one package. And one thing I forgot to mention to you all, as of late last year, I took up the position as the operations manager at KJ Lighting and Design. So that's a lighting company that does stage, screens, all these different things, all special effects that you could want for events. And it was such a full circle feeling because now person's calling, speaking to me, they want lights, trust. I tell them you want cocktails, yes. They want footballs, yes. Yes,
That's
they
it.
want footballs, yes. And hey, we have some tickets. Your team could push that. Come on, yeah, send it. Island E. We would get that done. It's a matter of becoming a one-stop shop around everything I do. Is going to be all in one involved. It's a one-stop shop. That is my vision, to have everything in unison, and that is how I've been moving thus far. Some promoters were so shocked during the carnival. They call to get certain setup, and they see I pull up. They're like, bro, you had I put on a bar for me. I was like, did the bar on the truck? We had to put up your lights. So you say you doing that too? I say, yeah, doing that too. And
Fully integrated.
fully integrated. So it's a matter of and that's the thing, eh? All that is also my personality showing itself throughout and everything. I'm very blessed, I would say, to have the opportunity and the experience. It has been very, don't get me wrong, this is very hard at times, it's stressful. I recently saw a picture of myself 2 years ago to my gray hair now. It's crazy, but it's worth it. And I would say to entrepreneurs out there, you stick to what you want, don't let people tell you can't do this or whatever the case. You stick to it. You believe in yourself. You speak positively of yourself always. You envision what you want. Always envision what you want. And one day at a time. One of my mottos is one day at a time. You don't look at how many days you have to do it. You look back at how many days you have done. And you just say one day at a time. Because guess what? If you want to give up a habit, if you want to give up meat, let me say you want to give up eating meat, you don't say, wait, you're trying to do it for the whole year, 365 days, you'll go crazy. You just need to do it one day. And guess what? Tomorrow is just one more day. You look back at what you have done and not look forward to a challenge. That's how I look at things.
The gray hairs mean wisdom, eh, sir? As a
Yes,
man of
yes.
many grays myself. But still,
Yes.
Nice, brilliant. I really appreciate everything you said there. One thing popped into my mind as you were speaking there is about the post we made on social media yesterday. It was the post by Robert L. Johnson, a quote from him. All business is personal. Make your friends before you need them. So now, Kerron is benefiting from all of those friendships he would have made previously. Now the door open. It's just to leverage that and get your product out there into the market. So again, all business is personal. Make your friends before you need them. But I have one last question before we wrap up here. I came across some information about a Mr. Lu Yongjing. I hope I'm doing justice to his name. He has a company called East Hope. Now, he sells feed for like pigs, ducks, different animals. His company is valued at $6.6 billion. And they have other publicly traded agricultural companies selling fertilizers, chemicals. How big is your vision? You want to have a publicly traded company? You want to actually roll out with an IPO? Is that the scale of your vision, or you want to keep it small, keep it traditional? Have you ever even thought about that?
Nothing about my thoughts are small. I hope to
Brilliant.
one day have branches across the Caribbean, to be quite honest. And literally in my business plan, I should have been there at this point. But I'm not worried as to if, but more when. I definitely want to have my business on that scale. And it's a matter of also, the thing is, the more people you serve, is the bigger your business will be. And the more people you serve as well as the more people you can assist, the more people you can employ and all these different things. So it's one big moving machine, and I definitely see myself growing past going into other countries and so on, and even having my branded produce. The first set of peppers and so on I would have planted, and even some fruits, I would have stuck my label on it and posted a picture. People laugh because it was some sort of joke I was making, but do they stick on fruits now, so yeah.
exactly.
Soon enough, there will be Modeste Home Growers stickers on watermelons, on packaged produce, fresh produce, on boxes and so on, going to all over. And that is my vision. It's a big one, and I believe
Nice.
I believe it doesn't make sense if you don't think about what you want, and it's not a daunting task to you, or you think it's too big. I think you haven't thought out what you really want to do just as yet. You could stay small. I'm not saying you have to do but when it comes from me and my vision, I see myself like any about all those big companies with their labels and their stickers everywhere, their big boxes and all these different things. In a healthy way, of course, we are about the environment. But yeah, definitely, I see myself probably one day competing with Dole. Why not?
Why not?
I want to have a chance to buy some shares when they go public.
Yeah, just remember the big potato. Yeah,
Sure.
get that one too? Potato, eh?
Big potato, yeah, you're in the right market for sure.
For sure. Now, Kerron, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Really sharing knowledge, as you guys realize, not just from an agricultural or farming perspective, but really how you could get yourself involved, in terms of the agricultural industry and not be a farmer full time, or even as a farmer, what else can you do? How can I enter the industry without doing any kind of farming and just deciding, all right, here we're going on. I think I'm going to enter at this point and become a supplier. I could become a distributor. I could become this or that or the other. I mean, we need people to even fix the backhoes, the different equipment, the machinery. I'm sure that you would have had those situations where you have equipment down, your chiller may not be working, they need somebody to come in and service it. So entrepreneurs out there, do not ever overlook any industry. This is why we do this podcast. And every single week we bring another industry to the fore. Because opportunities are bound everywhere.
And I want people to take away from this episode. It's not about what you consider sexy, what industry is sexy. It's about making money, following your passion. Farming, you could do both of those things in it. So don't look at the farmers and don't look at going out in the hot sun and be afraid of it. Once you get into that habit, you get into that routine, it's something you will love. I'm no big farmer. I have a small thing home by me, which I enjoy. When your hand go in the dirt, it cleanses your mind. I would say that. I'm not a scientist. Hopefully, Kerron can back me up on that. But don't overlook the hard work. Don't overlook the toiling. Don't overlook getting the sun beating on your back. In the end, when you eat your own mango, you eat your own watermelon, nothing tastes better than that.
So kudos to all the farmers out there, everyone who rears livestock, those who do it in the sea, the fishermen. I mean, you can't forget about them,
And you talk about seaweed.
Exactly.
But anyway, you have to bring Kerron back.
We had to bring him back, as every other one, right? But I mean, there's so much risk, as Kerron mentioned, involved. But where isn't there risk as an entrepreneur?
Sure.
Following your passion and staying true to it is very important. Kerron, any final words you want to leave us with on behalf of yourself? Obviously, we didn't get a chance to really delve into, the rest of your team and, who else may be involved. But I know for sure you would have a team around you. But any words you want to leave us with?
Well, I would just say to upcoming entrepreneurs, as I said earlier, stick to what you believe in and be passionate about it. You're going to have your hard days and your down days. Don't let that stop you. The freedom, this is for me, the freedom that it allows you is something I am one that needs to know that I'm doing this for me, I'm doing me, this is me, and that's how I live. So there's nothing else that could compare to building something of your own and rearing it, seeing it through challenges and raising it. Just like any other plant, I've had plants, pimento plants struggle. And my father would Sometimes he'd come with me in the garden and he'd be like, "Dad, why are you focusing on, look all them other big ones?" And he would see me tinging this one. After I finished with everybody, I'd go on back there, go on back there. And he always made the comment that, look, come back the next day, he said, "Look how big the pimento on that one is." I say, yeah.
Right.
He was telling me to leave it, man. But it's just, that is your dream. See, you're going to have struggles, you're going to have issues. And I have went through a lot, the most, everything you can think about I went through. And I was still there. And I'm still here today, molding and putting into it because I know what I want to achieve. I know what I can achieve. And, I've had early successes in different realms with regards to the entrepreneurship and competition, all the different things. But nothing could compare to the freedom I have of knowing that I'm doing something that I want to do, or something that I love. And I think there's no other, that to me in itself is success. As much as people see success as different things, money and whatever, the success for me is waking up and doing what I want to do every day. So if you really have something you're passionate about and that's what you want to do.
Thank you very much for the wise words, Kerron.
You're welcome.
Spoken like a dedicated and seasoned entrepreneur, even as a young fella. And that's how we wrap up this week on the Big Potato Podcast. We're talking agriculture industry, or agricultural industry. So many opportunities for you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. On behalf of Stuart, yours truly, Kendall, I'm signing out. Until next time, eat healthy.
Good night.
Entrepreneurship, it's all game. The Big Potato Podcast is yours to claim. From startups to scaling up, we cover it all. So don't mess up. Monday nights, don't miss the show with Kendall and Stuart. Your time to grow, listen up. Take notes and learn. The Big Potato Podcast, next gen's turn. It's next